wow. Wait, Santa Claus, come quick. Look. Incoming. Take cover. It's Lee Majors.
7 o'clock. Psycho sees Santa's workshop.
Eat this.
And only Lee Majors can stop them. The night the reindeer died.
Greetings, children of the screen, your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here, and I'm joined by...
Vic.
And welcome to another holiday edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen, Scrooged. Vic, what the fuck you mean you haven't seen Scrooged?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Bill Murray.
No culture.
It's
None.
directed by Richard Donner, the director of Superman.
I mean, I didn't see Mary Poppins till like last month, so...
You're fired. Scrooged, originally released in 1988, rated PG-13, coming in at 101 minutes. The film is directed by Richard Donner and stars Bill Murray, Karen Allen, John Forsythe, John Glover, Bobcat Goldthwait, David Jansen, Carol Kane, Robert Mitchum, Michael J. Pollard, and Alfre Woodard.
Oh, I'm having the weirdest day!
See Bill Murray get Scrooged.
Hey, back off, big man. That may work with the chicks, but not with me.
Right on, guys, that's right, we took a look at Scrooge, starring Bill Murray, one of my absolute favorite Christmas movies, which isn't saying much because I don't like that many Christmas movies. But this one's pretty awesome, and the basic plot, if you've ever seen A Christmas Carol or any of the million versions of Christmas Carol that are out there, you know the basic plot. The big difference in this one is that we replace Scrooge with Bill Murray, and instead of like running a business like in Victorian era, he is running a TV station in the 80s. But other than that, it's pretty much the same story. He's a dick. He like fires a dude who works for him, and then basically he's approached by the spirit of his former partner and boss and like best friend, telling him not to go down the same path he went or else he'll like burn in hell essentially. And then he tells him that after that he will be visited by 3 spirits. And then basically from that point on you see a 80s comedic take on A Christmas Carol. That's what this movie is.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, that's what you're in for.
Yeah.
So Vic, what did you think of the 1980s version of A Christmas Carol starring Bill Murray?
I like 80s. I like Christmas. What's not to like, you know? It's exactly what you expect going into it.
Yeah, it pretty much, well,
maybe not exactly.
No, in terms of story and structure and plot, but they do some very creative things with, like, the individual spirits and kind of just some interesting turns on the classic story.
Yeah.
I would say that in a lot of ways they probably put a lot more, like, creativity into some of those aspects than a lot of the other Christmas Carol films who kind of just either do verbatim the book or do what every other movie has done. These definitely try to find a new and unique and different way to do it.
Yeah, I liked it. Yes.
Yeah, all in all, it's pretty cool.
Absolute rain. Drug addiction. International terrorism. Freeway killers. Now, more than ever, it is important to remember the true meaning of Christmas. Don't miss Charles Dickens' immortal classic, Scrooge. Your life might just depend on it.
And what was your favorite thing out of Scrooge?
The Ghost of Christmas Present.
Oh, the fairy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't get over it.
No, she's fucking great.
She's insane.
Yeah, she's one of my 2 favorite things in this movie. Like, I love this movie. There's a lot of things I love in it, but The Ghost of Christmas Present is just, she's like a batshit manic pixie nightmare girl.
Yeah. It's pretty hot, to be honest.
Yeah.
It works.
And she just spends her entire time beating the shit out of Bill Murray. Like, it's like all of a sudden the movie becomes like has more slapstick than the Three Stooges. And they even use a bunch of Three Stooges gags in that segment as well.
Yeah.
But, like, my favorite thing about it not only is just, like, her in general, but the fact that, yeah, like, inevitably she ends up hitting him so hard that he jumps from location to location. So, like, she punches him out, and then he's, like, outside of his assistant's apartment and, like, viewing them at Christmas. And then, like, she just keeps going and throwing him. She just kicks his ass all throughout the city of New York.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fucking awesome. And again, like, that's one of my favorite ones in terms of kind of, like, taking a totally radically different take on that character.
Yeah, definitely.
Where, like, a lot of movies have done slightly varying things with that version, that spirit. I think this movie is probably the biggest departure, and I think that's why it's so surprising and also so delightful. Because in most versions, the Ghost of Christmas Present tends to be the more boring one. It's like we check in on Tiny Tim and see that he's sick and, like, all this stuff.
Yeah, it just tells you a bunch of shit you already know.
Yeah, it just basically has Scrooge seeing the things that you already know and, like, getting him. Basically, it makes you care more about Scrooge as he changes as a person. But beyond that, like, it's normally not, in of itself, it's not normally, like, a lot of fun, is what I'm saying. Whereas a lot of times going into the past is fun, and then going to see the future is cool. Present is just like, yeah, this is what's going on. And in this movie, it's probably the most entertaining of the three spirits. Although I do have to say that I really like the cab driver, the cabbie, who's like Ghost of Christmas Past as well.
He was pretty great.
Like, that one's pretty awesome, and they do some cool stuff with him, but not nearly as inventive as Ghost of Christmas Present. So she gets the gold star.
Have you any idea how many cats there are in this country?
No. I don't have those, no.
27 million. Do you know how many dogs?
In America.
48 million.
Wow.
We spend $4 billion on pet food alone.
4.
Now, I have here a study from Hampstead University which shows us that cats and dogs are beginning to watch television. Now, if these scientists are right, we should start programming right now. Within 20 years, they could become steady viewers.
Programming for cats.
Walk with me, Frank.
So my favorite thing out of Scrooged is Bobcat Goldthwait. The guy who plays Loudermilk, or whatever his name is.
Loudermilk.
Yeah.
I just realized that name is so dumb.
Oh, it is. A lot of the names in this movie are really dumb. But yeah, basically he's the character who, like, when Bill Murray shows, like, an edgier, like, more graphic and, like, basically a scare tactic trailer for their version of Scrooge, like, Elliot is just like, you can't show that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to be, like, I know you're the boss, but, like, you can't do that. It's wrong. And he's like, oh, no worries. Like, you know what? I will see. Thank you for telling me. I will see if I can change it. Run down to your office, and if I can change it, I'll let you know in 5 minutes. And then he makes sure that security has him thrown out of the building and fired within 5 minutes. And then progressively through the movie, we see Elliot out on the streets, like, trying to drink, and things just keep going wrong. And it's very obvious that he gets left by his wife because he got fired on Christmas Day and he has nowhere to go, so he's just drinking out on the streets. Which is also funny because later on in the movie, when he eventually comes to the TV station with a shotgun, he's also clearly wearing one of the blankets from Claire's shelter. So eventually he did find some place to go, and, like, probably the people who were in there just helped him get drunk more, because we see in the scene earlier that, like, they sneak booze in and stuff. But anyway, yeah, like, Bill Murray ruins this guy, and then for the third act, like, he just shows up with a shotgun and starts chasing him around, making Looney Tunes sounds. And then finally, when Bill Murray has his change of heart, like, frickin' Bobcat Goldthwait takes, like, hostage of the control room of this live performance of Scrooge, and just, like, is going nuts. He's just chewing up the scenery so hard, which is, thank God, because as we'll talk about the third act later on, this movie needed a little help towards the end of it. As much as I love it, like, it's not as weak in the end as it is in the beginning or the middle. And Bobcat is, like, the shining, like, star out of the last probably 20 minutes of this movie. He's funny, he's, like, sympathetic. The character seems like such a sweet guy before everything, and, like, his comedic timing with Bill Murray is just out of this world. I can't say enough good things about Bobcat Goldthwait in this movie, or in general. He's just an awesome dude.
I like whenever he shot the window, I was like, you see what I just did to this innocent window?
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great. See what I just did to this innocent window? And don't know who you're messing with. Yeah, it's so fucking amazing. And like his little Elmer Fudd voice. Oh my god. Bobcat.
This is the theme of the video. Just
Yeah, I know.
Thumbs
Just
up.
like, good on you, homeboy. Just keep rocking.
I don't hear any partying in that boat, Elliot. Great! Now that was just an innocent window, and you saw what I did to that. You know who you're dealing with.
And as I said, this is a fun movie that I truly love, but it is a movie that does have some problems. So, Vic, what was the biggest issue for you in this movie?
Definitely the ending.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not like the last 20 minutes, but like, once they start introducing like the Ghost of the Future.
Yeah, the Ghost
Future.
of Christmas Future.
Yeah.
Which has a badass introduction.
Yeah, it's great.
But right after that, that's when the movie for me starts going like a little... Yeah, and I wouldn't say it crashes and burns. I don't think it ever...
there's no crashing sound. Just
I don't think it ever completely loses you, but like it's clearly a step down from everything that we've had before.
Yeah, it's just like you get to know so much about the personalities and everything from the first two ghosts, and then they just kind of throw the third one out there. You don't get to know anything about him other than he's got like 3 whatever the fuck's in his chest.
Which is a great effect. Again, that's part of like the introduction that I really, really like, where Bill Murray's like, did our guys do that? Like, has to do a double take and shit, and like the idea of the TV screen, like, because again, in the Christmas Carol, the third ghost is always just like, he doesn't have a lot of character usually. He's usually just like a Grim Reaper or something, you know?
Yeah.
So they did stuff like that, but even beyond his character, like the way that they set up the little scenes of the future, like it looked like high school productions of plays. Like it was so like the insane asylum's okay with the little boy in the insane asylum.
Yeah.
Like that's cool, and the way that they have like the cattywampus hallway, so Bill Murray's like always off balance.
Yeah.
But once they go to like his funeral and like him seeing Claire when she's older and like this, like that's the worst one for me out of those 3 like things of the future that we see, because it's just like shitty pillars that don't go anywhere, and they're sitting at a table and like everything's whited out, and like I know that they're trying to do like a stylistic thing with the old age makeup. I think it's supposed to look like a theater production because they're doing like the play of Scrooge and stuff. But in comparison to all the stuff that we saw for the first Ghost and the second Ghost, it's just really lame. It's a real down step. Yeah.
I think the worst of it all though is like right after he's been like in the coffin, like he's burning and everything, you know. And then, like, he suddenly just emerges from the elevator.
Yes.
Suddenly, he's like, oh, I fucking love Christmas! But we didn't get to see that transition.
Right.
He was just concerned about himself dying, and then suddenly he gives a fuck about...
Yeah, like, the turn comes very quickly. Like, I mean, it comes in the appropriate place in the movie, but you're right. Like, it feels like between him burning and realizing that he's not dead and that he still has time... It does feel like maybe there should be like a good 2 or 3 minutes dedicated to him actually coming to the conclusion, as opposed to him just like freaking out.
There was like no emotional build up to him being like, wow, I need to stop being a shitty person. He was just like, boom, wow, all this cocaine is great. Fucking love Christmas. It's raining cocaine.
Yes, and like you do see throughout the movie him making those little changes, but you never get a moment where all those things come together and like solidify in a like climactic character change where they like cement the arc for you emotionally watching it.
Yeah, they're always just kind of like, oh, I see, I should maybe be a little nicer to my employees, you know, whatever. That's not like I love Christmas. That's just, oh, maybe be less of a dick and not completely flip over to being like the king of Christmas.
Yeah, the insane king of Christmas. And I will say that, like, a lot of adaptations of A Christmas Carol have this problem where, like, it just changes like that. And a lot of that is, like, because in the book, it is kind of like that, but you have the internal monologue of the character. So, like, you're changing with him moment by moment as the story goes. So when you get to that moment, it can be like a snap, like a flip of a switch, where it's like, oh, yes, because you've done all that. But, like, in a movie, you really need a scene where you stop everything and verbalize it. And that sounds bad, especially in this movie, when after that he's going to give a big speech. But honestly, the speech they give is so bloated and meandering that they clearly could have taken, like, I'm pretty sure Bill Murray just improvised half that shit. He, like, he does a line from frickin' Little Shop of Horrors at one point. Mind you, that's after the credits are rolling, so then I'm sure he's just, like, winging it, just being a goofball and stuff, because he's Bill Murray and he can do that shit. But yeah, like, that whole thing at the end is kind of a mess.
It just sounds like he's on drugs. I'm surprised everyone just went with it, which is also what I don't get. They were just like, oh yeah, you know, good old you loving Christmas and shit, even though this entire movie,
oh god,
he was a total dick
and, like,
to everything.
Obviously the only reason people in the in the control room are going along with this is because there's a guy with a double-barrel shotgun shooting windows and threatening them, but, like, everyone on the floor is just like, Merry Christmas, this is a goofy, fun time. I guess we can't put on our show that we've been practicing for a long time for.
Nobody down there stops them. They're just like, oh, you love Christmas now. All right, so we're not doing the show anymore?
Yeah.
It's fine. Am I still getting paid?
Right? And then, like, what was the weird thing with the censorship lady then, like, date raping, not even date raping, like, molest raping home dude in the control booth?
I could have done without that. That, like, was just...
I get the point. She's the censor lady, but deep down she has, like, the same weird twisted desires as most people. But you didn't really... Again, it's a change that happens so fucking fast. It's just like, what are you doing? It's like the end of this movie all of a sudden you're in the end of the movie. It's like we're moving, and then it's like we jump ahead and, like, the movie, we're in the end of the fucking movie.
Buckle your seatbelts, bitches.
And, like, honestly, I think we've covered all of my least favorite things just talking about this.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's a few problems in the beginning of the movie and stuff, but, like, in general, it's that third act. And especially, we watched this on Blu-ray, and, man, the effects in this movie hold the fuck up. Like, I was never taken out of the movie by what looked like a dated effect.
Yeah.
There was one in the beginning of the movie, and it's in the shot where, basically you see the Santa Claus movie that's on TV. It's one of the effects inside the Santa Claus made-for-TV movie. But then whenever they did the same kind of shot later on, in the regular movie, like the same kind of effect, I mean, that wasn't a problem. So, like, all of them look beautiful in Blu-ray, so there's clearly a lot of care put into this movie in places, and it's awesome. Awesome enough that having a third act that's really meandering and kind of comes out of it's both fast and meandering at the same time. That is something only Bill Murray and Richard Donner working together to could pull off. Like, only the guy who made Superman and the guy who was in Groundhog's Day can make that work. Or not work, as the case may be.
Oh my God. Ow! Bobby, look! Somebody save him!
Oh, no, that's a baked Alaska, sir. That's a dessert. You wouldn't want that, sir.
Look! Ah!
Oh, no, sir. That gentleman had meatloaf. You wouldn't want that, sir. It's not very... It's full of... Sir.
I'm gonna go have some air. I'm sorry. You know, I thought you were Richard Pryor.
So, Vic, would you recommend Scrooged for the holiday season for folks?
No.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I was gonna give it, like, you know, maybe 10 seconds before I'm like, nah, I'm just playing, but...
Oh, you're just joking?
Yeah. No, I actually...
love you, Vic.
Yeah, of course. But no, I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it's a good holiday movie. It's definitely something different.
Yes.
Something you really need on Christmas, because everything repeats itself.
Yeah, and what I will say that, like, while the ending might be a little weak, this movie definitely doesn't have a lot of the pomp and like the kind of, you know, the stuffiness of a lot of Christmas movies, or kind of the like self-importance, the pompousness of a lot of Christmas movies. This movie definitely doesn't have any of that. It's definitely much more of a like, hey, it's Christmas and Christmas is time to have fun, so let's just have fun with a story that you've heard a million times before, done a little bit differently. So yeah, for that respect, I definitely recommend this movie.
Have you seen this morning's paper, Frank?
Oh, who's that? She's pretty.
She's dead, Frank. Apparently this 80-year-old grandmother was watching your Scrooge promo last night, and she just keeled over. It scared her to death.
This is terrific! I knew that ad worked! You can't buy publicity like this! Ah!
Scrooged.
Right on, children of the screen. Thank you very much for joining us for another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen? Scrooged.
Later.
Right on, guys, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you can get updates on all the dope content we'll have coming out in the future. Furthermore, guys, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, or Vic, check out the link in the description below. Thank you once again, children of the screen. I hope you all have a good one. Nerd Scum, out.